On today's Fast Friday, the single most dangerous setting in photography. Well, hi everyone and welcome to Autodetect. I am talking about a low f-stop number for your lens aperture. The lower that you set your f-stop number, the larger the aperture opening is going to be. And the larger the aperture opening, the less depth of field that you will have to work with. By depth of field, I mean the distance from the furthest to the closest part of your scene that you can make sure is entirely in focus. If you have a wider aperture and a smaller depth of field, the more subject isolation from the background that you can achieve. Both your lens focal length as well as the distance that you are from the subject will factor into this as well, and be sure to check out my other videos on depth of field for more information. So often when new photographers get a lens like this awesome 16 to 55 millimeter zoom lens, or perhaps, a 55 millimeter prime lens, there's always this temptation, call it a habit perhaps, of always wanting to dial it down to the lowest f-stop and just using that all the time. Here's why that low f-stop setting is dangerous. As you know, aperture is part of the exposure triangle, and it's one of the very first things that beginning photographers learn. But with each new digital camera that's released, more advanced electronic autofocus settings are available. Face-eye auto-detect, or the new subject detection setting. And camera companies make them sound so great, right? I mean, just set your camera to face-eye auto-detect, aim it at your subject, and you're good to go, right? Well, no. And in fact, this can cause beginner photographers to lose a lot of good shots because they forgot to factor in, because they were dazzled by the technology, they forgot to factor in the classic good old exposure triangle setting of aperture and how that affects depth of field. Let me show you something. So here is a series of shots that I took with the new GFX 100, the second camera, and I was using the new Fujifilm GFX 55mm f1.7 lens. And I kept the lens setting all the way down to f1.7, meaning wide open as possible and least amount of depth of field. And to be clear, I put the camera in face-eye auto-detect and autofocus, and I thought all was good. Have a look at this. Only one eye was in focus. And that's because I had so little depth of field at f1.7 with that lens. That was the best the camera could do, even though I had it set in face-eye auto-detect, autofocus, using the latest technology, right? Doesn't make a difference. If the lens is way wide open at f1.7, you're gonna have so little depth of field that it doesn't matter what the autofocus capabilities of the camera are. And same thing happened right here. See that? One eye in focus, one eye is not. And it's not just limited to one eye. If you're not careful, having a lens that's that wide open can result in both eyes or the face or lots of other things being completely out of focus. So remember, all of the electronic mumbo jumbo, that's my technical term for it, the microchips, the latest processor, even the Whopper computer will not save your images if you don't factor in depth of field and how you set your aperture. Specifically, how setting your f-stop can control what is in focus. Again, comes right back to this. So if you do notice that your images are not in focus, for example, suppose you have several people standing together, right? One of them is slightly behind the other, and that person is out of focus. It's not your camera's fault, okay? I mean, make sure that you first take a look at your f-stop setting first, and don't be afraid to move it to f4 for the heck of it, or even f5.6. And yeah, your camera will need more light, and it will require adding perhaps a stop or two extra ISO to compensate for that. But with modern software noise reduction that works so well on RAW files, I think that's a better choice. So the extra higher ISO noise, maybe a stop or two that you're needing to compensate for adding more light, that can be fixed better in post-production than a blurry photo. You don't want that. Well, that wraps up today's video. And before I go, I actually want to give you a bit of an update. I realize, and some of you have told me, that I haven't published a video in the last, 10 days or 2 weeks or something like that. And yeah, that's true. It's incredibly difficult for me to be in the space of educating and talking about camera settings and cheerful and energetic and all that stuff with what's going on in the world right now. And I had to just step back and just go offline a little bit. The only reason I'm back, to be perfectly honest with you, is that some of our viewers of this channel are from certain regions of the world right now that are experiencing a lot of pain. I don't know what to do. So I'm trying to do what I do best and maybe teach something, help someone take better photos, help someone better understand their Fujifilm camera. And if I can do that, even in a goofy, silly, Fast Friday video, and maybe perhaps, take someone's mind off their problems for a few minutes or give someone a little bit of entertainment, a little bit of education, I thought I should do that. So that's why I'm here. And well, anyhow, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you found the video helpful or at least entertaining. And if you did, be sure to give it the like and subscribe. I am going to be signing off now, but have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you in a new video very soon. Take care.